Hi, welcome back to another Take It to the Max podcast. I'm Vicky, the marketing manager here at IT Desk. Please be kind to me. It's my first one of being the host. I'm a little bit nervous, but hopefully to ease my nerves, here with me is Dec, one of our technicians. Hi, Dec.
Hi, I'm Dec. I'm the IT technician from downstairs, one out of many. I used to be an apprentice like the rest of them, but I'm glad that I'm your first guest for you being host. I'm sure we're going to have a great time.
I hope we are too. I think you're going to learn me a lot, to be fair. I really think you're going to learn me how to use SharePoint properly.
Well, that's the plan, isn't it?
I hope so. Right, let's just get into it then. So, Dec, one of the most annoying things before we got SharePoint was version control and finding a document. I'm absolutely rubbish at saving stuff in the right place, for then sending it off to the team for them to find where I've saved it. It don't make any sense to them. So yeah, we've now moved to SharePoint and it has been so much better. I think that's the general consensus all around. If you're using SharePoint, it is a fantastic solution, especially for working in a team. Would you agree? Is that right?
That's exactly right. I mean, I myself was guilty of it as well when we didn't have SharePoint. I just put everything into a document and I could navigate the mess. But if anyone else wanted to look for it, it's like, why is it in that document? What do you mean? That's just document. Is everything there? But SharePoint really allows you to actually put a structure in place and allow other people to have access to that structure in one centralized location. It's really good because each folder you can set specific permissions on. So say you have a HR folder that only some people need access to, you don't need to create a new SharePoint for it. You can still keep it there and then do manage access. And that's what we do quite a lot for our customer base.
Oh, fabulous. So why do people keep losing their files and struggling with version control, Dec?
Well, first of all, they probably don't have it enabled in their SharePoint. If you don't have it enabled, you'll be looking for a feature that's not really there. So the moment you do get it turned on, it becomes quite easy and straightforward from that because you can look at it online or just through OneDrive and you can see who edited it last. So it could be you, it could be someone else, and it always brings up date and time. So then you're able to load into that file, look at version history, and then you've got a restore option for that. But the best thing is, you've got the preview as well before that, so you can see all the work that has been changed and altered before you restore it, which can stop you losing any work that you didn't want to lose or restore from.
Okay, so does that mean in Excel, for example, if we were looking at figures and somebody had gone in and manually changed a figure, we could see what that figure was before if they've done it in error? Oh, okay.
That's exactly right.
Didn't know that. Maybe I should start using that a bit more.
I would definitely recommend it. There's no downside to having it turned on. It's not like you have this enabled, you lose something else. Okay. It's just there as that extra layer of protection and cushion of losing info or work.
Oh, fab. So that's something that people need to switch on if it's not automatically being switched on by their IT support provider like us.
100%. It's a very quick thing to do as well. It's just within the settings of SharePoint. So I'm sure the IT for anyone listening can just get it turned on.
Okay. I'm assuming in the comments below this podcast, we can write some little instructions that people can look at.
Of course.
For after. Perfect. Wonderful. Great. Okay, so to anybody that's listening who thought SharePoint was just a file, save and share place to store work, what else can it do?
Well, it actually backs up your files as well because as you may have experienced yourself, if you've got something locally and you accidentally delete it, getting that file back might be a bit of an issue, but any file that is deleted by accident in SharePoint automatically goes to the recycle bin, and that doesn't have to be accessed by an admin. That can be anyone listening. So if they think they've lost a file that's synced to a SharePoint site, they can go in recycle bin, and it always shows the full folder, not just individual files either, depending on what was deleted. And it's just as simple as pressing restore.
Oh, fab. Honestly, I've been totally using SharePoint all wrong. We really need to have some lessons upstairs in marketing, I think, for this. 100%. So you said something about SharePoint sites there. What's a SharePoint site?
A SharePoint site, for example, is what you would experience. You've got your marketing folder.
Yeah.
So that itself, when you've got it synced to your file explorer using OneDrive, adds that site just as a folder. So it's so easier for some users to digest if they just see it in their file explorer alongside their other files. But you can have multiple sites. There's not really a limit to how many sites you can have. So say you want half a team accessing one site and you don't want to use the folder permissions, you set it up as another site. And we always do it as a team site because when you set up a team site, it also creates a Teams group alongside it for security. So you get to add other people in a lot easier.
That's all making sense now. So we have different Teams chats for the different SharePoint sites for the different brands that we manage. That makes sense now. I didn't think of it like that at all. I've learned something. I hope everybody else is learning something. It's like a right eye-opener. Thank you, Dec.
That's great to hear. I hope everyone takes as much as they can from this.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So then, Dec, I've got a few questions or a few myth and fact busters. Oh, God, it's easy for you to say. I can't even speak.
Or
Put my teeth in.
Mythbusters.
Mythbusters. Myth or fact. There we go. So I've got a few of these that people have been asking us. Now, some of them I've actually thought myself, but sometimes I'm a bit too embarrassed to say. But here goes. Don't laugh. So SharePoint, is it just a not... Oh gosh, again, teeth in. SharePoint, is it not just a glorified OneDrive?
No, it's nothing like that. Yes, you can store files on there like you can on your OneDrive, but it's so much more than that because you actually get to share these with external users, people within the company on a much wider scale instead of just limiting it to your one personal OneDrive. This is a full centralized location for multiple users to add, remove, and work on the same files together, which speeds up production a lot.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's fab. So that means that I could, well, what I used to do is send links externally for clients to be able to look at and approve, add their notes to, without emailing it backwards and forwards, saving it, having it one final again, actual final, so that you no idea where you're at. It's good. It's good to know. So the next one is, everyone in the company can see all your files. Is that a myth or a fact?
It's the biggest myth ever, really.
Okay.
I know some people are worried, like, if my files are online, surely someone else can see them. No. It's the same with your OneDrive in that principle. You only let users see what you want them to. So say you have a HR folder.
Yep.
No one else needs to look at that. No one can. Even if it's on a SharePoint site or if it's in your OneDrive, unless it's specifically shared by the creator or your IT admin.
Okay. Very good. So the next one is, you don't need SharePoint if you have Teams. Myth or fact?
That's also a myth because you use SharePoint alongside Teams because, like I've already mentioned, when you create a Teams site, it creates that Teams group alongside it. They work really well as a pair. It's great what you can do because you can also link it with Planner, which is also another Microsoft product that everyone uses. Exactly.
I love Planner in marketing.
Everyone loves it. The moment you start using it, you just forget what your life was like before it. We've started using it downstairs now for our site technician that keeps going out. Before, we've written it all up on a whiteboard, which you could imagine if anyone's working from home, they can't exactly see that whiteboard.
No, it makes sense. We love Planner, we love projects, we love to do. I've spoke about it in another podcast a couple of weeks ago. It's changed the way that we work upstairs in marketing. It is really good. It is really good. So in answer to the question, it's a myth. Teams is Teams. SharePoint is SharePoint.
Yep, but when you mix them together, that's where you get something amazing.
Fab. Magic. It is magic. So obviously it sounds like I've been using SharePoint all wrong, so I'll have to have some lessons after this and rewatch it back to everything that you've said. And looking back at all that then, what is your favourite thing about SharePoint?
It's the easy file sharing for me. The fact you get so many different version histories and so many cushions if you do end up deleting one file, because no one wants to delete a file because it's like, say you've spent 8 hours working on one doc, you don't save it properly. You don't have to worry about that for SharePoint. You've got autosave on.
Yeah.
So it's already there, which is a lot easier for some people. And some customers call us when they've lost that file and they get very worried. You can hear it on the phone, but the moment we know they've got a SharePoint site and they would have had the autosave on, the joy in their voices, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I do when I'm working on anything. Make sure autosave is switched on for that reason. And can you see that version control then? In
Yeah,
there?
you can. It saves it all automatically. So if you were to close it, usually if you don't have autosave on, it prompts for that save.
Yeah.
But with this, at the moment you close it, you already know it's saved. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of weight off your chest of, did I save that? Didn't I? It's always saved.
Fab. It's yeah, fab. Sounding good. But big question, are there any cons to it? We've found that we can't save the podcast because it's too big in SharePoint. We're having to use Azure storage. What other cons might there be?
The other con is really depending on how much storage you have, because you can expand it, but the more you expand it, that's where, the price can go up. So it is worth saving some files locally. Like what you've mentioned, you're using Azure Storage,
Yeah.
which is a great platform for storage. SharePoint isn't just storage, it's also file sharing as well. So I think the moment you differentiate between what you can save and what you want to share, that's the biggest con for me. It's how you use it.
Oh, okay. Very good. So what would 3 quick wins be today for anybody listening? What do they need to go out and do straight away?
Upload your files to SharePoint. It's as simple as that, because that way you've already got this cushion. You can share what you need to, and if you want to look at setting up manager permissions for certain folders, if you can't do that yourself and you're not an owner of a SharePoint, your IT definitely can. And the second one would be use OneDrive.
Use OneDrive.
Sync the SharePoint site, and that way it's a lot easier for accessing all these files, and they pair with the autosave. So anything you access through that sync SharePoint site automatically uploads to the SharePoint site as well. So it doesn't matter if you use it through the web or you use OneDrive to sync it to your folder.
Love that. And then my top one would be turn on version control if it's not already turned on. My big takeaway.
100%, because if you lose something or someone saves over it, it's like, no, I needed that one. Version control has got you sorted.
Yeah.
You just restore back to what you need. And the best thing is, if they have added some work you haven't already done, you can just copy theirs over, restore your version, and input it.
All right, okay. Great. So, if SharePoint was a superhero, what would you call it?
As cheesy as it is, time saver. The time
Okay.
machine, for example, because with the version control, like we've already gone back, you're just flipping that clock on that file and it saves you so much time.
Okay, I've got a question then on that. The time, so not on the time saver, but is this? I'm going to sound right thick here, but when I'm open SharePoint and I use the search tool, it searches everything. So I don't know what superhero name I could call it because I can't think right now, but in a nutshell, like a scavenger hunter with a metal detector, it fetches it up if there's a document or something that says it in Teams. It searches my emails, it searches OneDrive, it searches my Mac. Just by opening SharePoint and doing a search, it fetches it up. And then I didn't realise until the other day that you can actually type in what sort of document you're looking for. So if you're looking for a photograph, for example, dates, times, all sorts, that blew my mind. So yeah, I would call it some sort of, I don't know, metal detector.
You've not got it wrong there. You can search specific SharePoints or just all of them. There's many different filters you can use for search. You can search for just sites or just people, teams, or folders. It's all together in one place.
Yeah.
It saves a lot of time.
It blew my mind how good that the search thing was. It really did. Is there anything else that anybody needs to know about SharePoint or OneDrive or anything that you use in your day-to-day just while you're here?
Yeah, the main thing is you've got one option in SharePoint where you can copy links.
Okay.
You can set up shortcuts. This is something I wouldn't recommend doing because it can impact your OneDrive. So if you're using SharePoint and OneDrive together, that link may sound like a good idea, but it can break the sync between the sites and only update that one folder. So it's best if you are looking for getting that access to your file explorer, you press the sync option on the full site, not just that shortcut.
Ah, okay. Didn't know that. Well done. Anything else you want to blow my mind with then while we're here? I feel like it's been a right learning curve for me. I don't know about listeners.
No, I
No?
feel like
You feel like we've covered it? No,
I
that's
feel
fine.
like we
There's
have got
no wrong.
everything.
There's no wrong answer.
No,
there's no wrong
nothing I could
answer.
think of. Not even off the top of my head.
No, that's fine. You've done really well. Well, thank you for joining me today. I know it were a bit last minute, but I appreciate it. So thank you. And if anybody listening out there has got anything else that they want us to talk about, any issues that they're having with SharePoint, or any questions about anything to do with technology, pop them in the chat or in the notes below or comments, and we'll answer your questions. So tune in next time, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. It's been great.